Wow, I never realized what being a tailback meant. It's like I'm the tail end of this induction here, so here we go. So basically, I want to congratulate the other inductees. I'm honored to be selected and put into the Hall of Fame alongside them. And more importantly, to be in there with the guys that I looked up to when I first arrived at Ottawa U in '76. There were some remnants from that '75 team that were mentors to us. Specifically for me, it would have been a guy like Rocky DiPietro, who taught me how to be a slot back before they switched me to running back. And then I had guys like Mike Murphy, who mentored me and taught me a lot in that regard. So also I would like to basically thank the people that made the long trips back. People like Peter Huber from out in Vancouver, Mike and Fran from Calgary, Julio and Rose from Florida, Joel and Kathy from Florida, Peter Huber and his son Thomas. Thank you guys so much for making the trip. Truly a 1980s family that we are, and you know, you coming down here to support me in this induction is only a testament to what we accomplished on the field as a group. And I feel honored to have played with you, alongside you, and to represent our group going into the hall today. What Mike Reed meant to our team was very extraordinary. He was a very special guy in so many ways, but mostly he was a team captain for us on that 1980 team. And the thing that he brought to us was a lot of humor, kept us calm when we got into those you know, tight games and things like that. And we had a great group of guys that would keep everything light and entertaining, and allowed us to just kind of chill and focus on what the task was at hand. And so Mike, I thank you for that. And also to your family, congratulations to Warren Reed, who is graduating this year and moving on to the next path in his life. Warren, when I met you the first time when you came in as a rookie, you had that little hand problem. We talked about it, and here you are now, my man. You're graduating, and you also became an academic All-Canadian, and we're so proud of the Reed family for that. Congratulations, Mike, Fran, and Warren. And the last note about Mike and his family, they are like phenomenal supporters of the GG machine. They take care of our athletes in so many ways, and we're very grateful to you guys for that, Mike and Fran, okay? And just keep on doing it, okay? So my journey was a long journey. It started across the pond in Greece. So my football journey was one where my mom and dad had the courage to bring 3 young sons over to Hamilton, Ontario, passionately and affectionately known as the Hammer, and we'll get into that a little bit and why. And I do want to acknowledge the Randazzo table, because these guys are legendary in GG football history, because we had Sam and Michael play here, and now we have the next variation in Mark Randazzo, who played for me at Bishop Tonus High School in Ancaster, where I coached him, and he was a pleasure to have there. And Dan and Sherry always supported our program really well over there. So I thank you guys, and Mike, thanks for coming up as well, Mike Sherrard and his family, okay? So thank you guys for making the trip as well. So having brought us across the pond, here they were, 3 kids. So my dad was a barber, and my mom was a short order cook. The one thing in the Giftopoulos household was we always looked good, because everyone thought we went to a hair salon, but my dad was the barber, and we were always well fed by that little lady over there, Eleni Giftopoulos, who made sure that 5 kids were always well fed and always well looked after. My dad was a big soccer star back in the old country, and he was instrumental in keeping us active when we arrived here. Athletics for us was going to the park, playing pickup and things like that. And just for fun, when Steve and I started working where my mom was a short order cook, it was the Queen's Banquet Hall, Steve and I would, look at each other. We're waiting for the bus shows up, and to save a dime, this was our training routine. To save a dime, we would run and try and beat the bus to the banquet hall, where we would go and sell drinks to the players playing in the bingo, and walk up and down 2 flights of stairs for 5 hours, and end up, bringing home some money so we could buy a bike. And that's the kind of training that we used to have back in the day. Now, it's like the fitness facilities that are available and things like that, it's like phenomenal, but that was our big training, right, Steve? Remember that? Sprinting to beat the bus. I want to thank my mom and dad for all their support. They raised 5 kids on limited resources. We managed to get by because you only knew what you knew, and they provided us with all the necessities that we needed to pursue all of the passions that we had. Steve, a graduate of Ottawa U, played alongside us for a few years, a teacher, coach for 32 years, a mentor to Alicia and Stephanie, his daughters, both youth sports soccer athletes, one at Nipissing and one at McMaster. John, my brother, probably the best athlete in the family. Everyone knows Pete, but John was one of the best athletes in the family. He's water management, tryout for the Winnipeg Jets, played with John Tortorella, who's with the Columbus Blue Jackets. They played in ECHL together, so he had a really amazing hockey career going for himself. Then, of course, there was Peter, played at Penn State, won a national championship when Coach B was hanging out at Penn State with Joe Paterno, and they ended up winning a few bowl games down there. And then, of course, there was my sister Maria, who's a nurse, works for St. Joseph's Children's Hospital in Buffalo, does amazing work with kids in the cancer ward. Talk about a compassionate, caring individual that has to deal in that kind of environment. So proud of you, Maria, and my siblings. Thanks so much for being a part of my life. I love all you guys. And then, of course, so also, I would like to thank my wife, Nicole, my high school sweetheart, who was at one high school with me as a cheerleader, and then we both went to different high schools, so we competed against each other. So she'd be on the sidelines cheering for the other team while I'm busy trying to score touchdowns for Cathedral Boys High School. And that was always an interesting situation after the games, because Cathedral always won, right? So. I want to thank you for the wonderful children that we have, Nicole, Remy, and Tessa. You blessed our lives with 2 wonderful children. Remy, an OHL star, and we were happy that he was able to play with the Ottawa 67s and the Windsor Spitfires, went on to play at Acadia University, and just finished his first year in Denmark as a professional hockey player. And Tessa, who works for Zoomer Media and is an executive assistant of programming. We're very proud of your accomplishments as well, Tessa. And by the way, they're both bilingual. I love that part about them. So what can I say? Football was a big part of my life. Growing up, we just loved playing the game. If there was one thing I always loved doing was running with the ball, and I was blessed when I came to Ottawa U. Something happened at Cathedral High School that shaped my whole University of Ottawa career. And Coach B can attest to this, because Coach B and I competed against each other at different high schools. So he always used to beat us when he played at St. Mary's. I was at Scott Park. Then we came together at Cathedral Boys together. I was a quarterback, he was a quarterback. Coach decides, okay, what am I going to do here? I got 2 quarterbacks. Well, he decided Jamie would be the QB and I would be the running back. And that was what rewrote everything that I was doing in my football career. And I'm thankful that he did. When I got to Ottawa, the 75 team had just won the Vanier Cup. The 76 team were just phenomenal group of guys. They should have easily won a back-to-back Vanier Cup, but I remember when Billy McNeely and I were out at halftime because we both got injured. We were both sitting inside the St. Mary's hockey arena looking out at the actual goal post where Mike Murphy was lining up a field goal, and it went wide by about 1.5 feet. So we missed going to a second Vanier Cup, but that team definitely deserved to be there with guys like Rocky DiPietro, Miles Goral, Mike Murphy, who went on to have CFL careers. I played in 2 Atlantic Bowls. I played in a '76 Atlantic Bowl, which we lost. And thankfully, with the leadership group that we had developed and evolved and grew as a family, as a team, through leadership of our coaches, we ended up becoming a tight-knit group, but like I say, loose and, but knew how to get the job done. We went back to the Atlantic Bowl and took care of business, as some of the other folks before me had suggested. We took care of business. We ended up beating Acadia handily and went to the Vanier Cup for 1980. Things didn't turn out so well for us in the Vanier Cup, but you know what? We experienced an amazing thing. We grew as a family, as a group of individuals that knew that we had some special bond that we'd created that particular year. I'm going to mention some of the athletes that I'm very grateful to, as Mark did. I'm trying to find my sheet where I had listed things. And it's basically the athletes that played on the line. I want to talk about Mike Reed. I want to talk about Brent Walker. I want to talk about Dave Upton, who's here tonight. Giulio Petrilli, Warner Miles, Andy Katz, Guy Labine, John Hennessy, Doug Brown, Brock Bundy, Joel Baldwin, Donnie Burns, and Paul McLaughlin, who are all here. Guys, it was an amazing offensive group that we had. Coach Belanco, thank you for putting together a line that was second to none. Those boys could open up holes like it didn't take that much to have to run through them. The guys that were the receivers, they did amazing second-level blocking, and I was one of those running backs that would cut back against the grain, so they just tuned guys up for me, and away we went, And to a special guy, Brock Bundy, came in as a rookie, and I learned recently that one of his dreams, Neil, was to come up to Ottawa and become the next Neil Lumsden. And you know what? He did every bit of that, especially in that Atlantic Bowl when we ran for 250 yards and just thrashed those guys in a mud-filled field. So thank you to those guys. In closing, I would like to say that my time at Ottawa U was very instrumental in shaping me. I still stay close to the program. I like to be around the guys. I taught for 30 years in the Hamilton Catholic District School Board.